Welcome back to The Explainer. So if you're feeling like your mental energy is just running on fumes right now, and honestly, every new email hitting your inbox feels like a personal threat, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're taking some pretty complex psychological research and translating it into highly actionable micro habits to help you deal with the stress of modern life. We're going to build up your mental fortitude, and we're not doing it with sweeping, completely overwhelming life changes, but through tiny, strategic actions.
Think of today's agenda as your brand new mental investment portfolio. We're going to define the resilience bank account, look at the power of routine, rewire negative thoughts, conquer social anxiety, and then compound all of that with gratitude. Let's dive right in.
All right, Section 1, the resilience bank account. We really need to start framing mental health exactly like a financial portfolio, one that needs constant, intentional attention.
So, this idea comes from Dr. Michael Medaus, and honestly, it's a brilliant metaphor that completely shifts how we think about mental toughness. See, resilience isn't just some fixed genetic trait that you're either lucky enough to have or you don't. It's actually a dynamic, living reserve. Just like a literal bank account, if you only ever make withdrawals, through stress, anxiety, daily friction, and you never make any deposits, you're gonna go bankrupt, period. We have to actively build this reserve through small, daily deposits of healthy habits.
And the hard neuroscience backing this up is absolutely fascinating. Neurons that fire together, wire together. You've probably heard that phrase before. When we go through chronic stress, our brain essentially builds superhighways for anxiety, so our reactions become totally automatic. But the incredible news here is that we can actively wire new, solid pathways. By deliberately practicing positive micro-habits, we are literally reshaping the physical architecture of our brains. How cool is that?
Let's move on to Section 2, the power of routine. This is all about the simplest physical deposits we can make to establish a baseline of control at the very start of our day.
I absolutely love this perspective from Admiral William H. McRaven. He's a battle-hardened Navy SEAL, and he says, if you make your bed every morning, you will have accomplished the first task of the day. It will give you a small sense of pride, and it will encourage you to do another task, and another, and another. It's kind of crazy, right? A 4-star admiral views this totally mundane chore, the one we all complained about as kids, as the absolute critical first spark of a successful day.
And listen, this is not just about having a tidy room, it's biology. Making your bed releases dopamine. That's your brain's feel-good chemical, which actively reinforces your brain to keep being productive. It gives you immediate structure and environmental control. And once you have a routine locked in, you drastically decrease your daily decision fatigue, which conserves your mental energy for the actual big problems. In fact, research done during the COVID-19 pandemic showed that families who maintained high levels of daily routines actively buffered their stress. It literally preserved their resilience.
Okay, Section 3. Rewiring your negative thoughts. Now that our physical environment is structured, let's look at the internal environment, the cognitive deposits, how we process the world and talk to ourselves.
You might be familiar with the transformative work of Dr. Carol Dweck here. A fixed mindset looks at a hard challenge and just declares, I can't do this. It assumes our abilities are static and unchangeable. But a growth mindset simply adds one tiny, incredibly powerful word, yet. Saying, I can't do this yet, completely rewires your brain's approach to failure. It shifts you away from seeking validation and moves you right into seeking development.
But what happens when those negative thoughts just get too loud? Well, we can turn to cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT techniques. The UK's National Health Service recommends this really simple 3-step reframing process. Step 1, you literally step back from the situation mentally. Give yourself some distance. Step 2, you act like a scientist. Examine the actual evidence for your unhelpful thoughts. Ask yourself, are these facts or are they just fears? And finally, step 3, reframe it. Break that vicious cycle by exploring alternative ways to look at the problem. Doing this is a massive cognitive deposit.
All right, Section 4, conquering your social anxiety. Let's transition from our internal thoughts back to the external world, targeting how to make social deposits when interacting with people feels utterly overwhelming.
Overcoming social fear is never ever about taking an immediate, terrifying leap into the deep end. You don't start by getting up and giving a keynote speech. It is a gradual, step-by-step exposure process. You start with something incredibly low stakes, maybe just brief eye contact with the cashier. Once you master that, you graduate to greeting a neighbor, then doing some small talk at a coffee break. Eventually, you build up the capital to ask a question in a high-stakes meeting. You are just slowly, consistently proving to your brain that the environment is safe.
And while you do this, you have to manage your amygdala. That's your brain's danger filter. If you're socially anxious, your amygdala falsely detects a threat where there actually isn't one, and it floods your body with stress hormones. To calm that false alarm down, practice deep, slow breathing right from your belly, not your chest. That biologically signals safety to your nervous system. Prepare a few small talk topics in advance so your mind doesn't just go blank. Challenge your worst-case scenario predictions by actively recalling times you succeeded socially in the past. And honestly, consider connecting with a support group just to remind yourself that you're not alone in this fight.
Section 5. Compounding with gratitude. This is where we round out our resilience portfolio with emotional deposits, focusing on that internal grace we need to sustain long-term mental health.
Psychologist Dr. Kristin Neff has a really powerful framework for this, built on 3 key elements. First up is self-kindness. This means replacing that harsh inner critic with a completely non-judgmental voice. Second is mindfulness, observing your uncomfortable emotions without ignoring them, but crucially, without exaggerating them into a total catastrophe. And third, common humanity. Just accepting that making mistakes is a universal part of being human. And get this, practicing these 3 elements actively lowers your stress hormone, cortisol, and it literally lights up your brain's reward centers.
Which brings us basically to the golden rule of self-compassion. Think about it, if your best friend made a mistake, there is no way you would call them worthless or stupid. You would offer them encouragement, right? We have to stop the harsh self-put-downs and actively start speaking to ourselves in the exact same way we would speak to a mentor, a loved one, or a good friend.
Now we pair that self-compassion with daily gratitude. And hey, I want to be super clear here. This is not about toxic positivity. It's not about ignoring real, difficult challenges. It's about training your brain to recognize the good stuff that coexists alongside the hard times. Try jotting down 3 to 5 simple things you're grateful for each day. Send a quick text thanking someone who made an impact on you. When you do your deep breathing exercises, pair your exhales with a thankful thought. These micro habits literally rewire your brain to naturally start scanning the world for the positive.
Small daily deposits earn compound interest. Making your bed, throwing the word yet into your vocabulary, holding brief eye contact, taking deep belly breaths, and treating yourself like a friend. None of these take immense, back-breaking effort on their own, but consistency with these small daily deposits earns massive compound interest. Over time, they create a completely undeniable reserve of mental fortitude.
So, I want to leave you with this one vital question to answer for yourself right now. What small deposit are you going to make into your Resilience bank account today? Seriously, don't wait for tomorrow. Pick just one micro habit we discussed and take control of your mental well-being right now. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.